So Manchester United are currently 5 games unbeaten in the Premier League, and we are actually currently the 4th highest goal scorers in the league. But there is a problem. We are also the 5th highest for goals conceded, and the deeper problem is that the XG reflects that, that's about right. We've conceded a number of goals that you would have expected. So Manchester United have a defensive problem. So in true Manchester United addict fashion, I decided to go watch every single goal that United have conceded so far this season and break down where the goals are actually coming from so we can actually figure out what the problem is. And the first stat that I found was just mind-blowing to me, and that's the fact that at Old Trafford so far this season, Manchester United have only conceded 6 goals, which isn't bad at all in itself. But 5 of those have been from set pieces. So at Old Trafford this season, Manchester United have only conceded from open play once. Every other goal has been a long throw, a direct corner, or the sort of second phase of a set piece. So if Manchester United can improve the way that they defend set pieces at Old Trafford, we could actually make it somewhat of a defensive fortress. Now away from home, things are a little bit different. Manchester United have conceded 12 goals in just 6 games, which is obviously 2 a game, which is not great. We've seen in the last 2 matches that we've conceded twice, and that's actually cost us a result. 9 times out of 10 you feel if you score 2 goals, you should be able to get a positive result, but because of our defensive issues, that isn't the case. Away from home, the goals are spread out a bit more evenly. We're talking about conceding from through balls, we're talking about conceding from crosses, and also cutbacks into the penalty area, that sort of space just behind the centre-backs. So basically, the problem is home and away, when the ball actually gets into the box, United aren't very good at defending it. Now, if you actually take a moment to think about everything that I have just said there, it all starts to make a lot of sense. So Manchester United concede set pieces at Old Trafford. That's our big problem. Why would that be the case? What's the difference between home and away? Well, at home, we don't tend to start Harry Maguire, right? At home, we don't tend to play Maguire. We tend to go for a Luke Shaw, De Ligt, Lenny Yoro back 3. And that is perhaps why you would concede more from set pieces, because you don't have Harry Maguire defending your box. However, away from home, we concede more through balls and also more cutbacks. And that's when Maguire is now in the team. So when Maguire comes into the team, perhaps we don't concede so many from set pieces, but now we are conceding cutbacks, where we know Maguire isn't great, but also through balls in behind the defence, where Maguire doesn't have the speed to keep up. So that sort of starts to point to some of the problems that we're facing. The other thing that we need to point out is the way that Manchester United approach games depending on whether we're home or away. So when we're home, our starting 11 looks something like this. It's not that, it's De Ligt in the middle, Lenny Yoro to the right-hand side. And we know that United tend to press in more of a 4-4-2. So we see the centre-backs almost playing like this, and then one of them, often Yoro, will shift to the right-hand side. And Manchester United almost end up lining up like this. And the good thing about the 4-4-2 is it allows United to be more aggressive. Perhaps that's why we're not conceding a lot of crosses from open play at Old Trafford, because the opposition can't get far enough forward to actually put crosses into the box. So being more aggressive allows us to squeeze higher, stops the opposition getting close to our goal, and protects our box. Whereas when we play away from home, things are a little bit different, because Maguire comes into the team, which means we shift across into a back 5. Now we know that if we're playing with a back 5, one of the inside forwards is going to drop even deeper, and now suddenly we go from 2 players pressing the opposition centre-backs to only 1. We become much more passive on the front line, and what we often do, we've all seen it, is the whole Manchester United team away from home, particularly if we have a lead, starts to drop off a little bit deeper. And this is trying to be more compact. That's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to get players closer together. But the problem is, by doing this, we are inviting the opposition forward onto us, which is always a problem, I feel, in the Premier League, just because there's so much quality. But also, we're allowing the opposition to push a lot of numbers forward into the box, but also what we're doing is allowing the opposition the time to play a lot of crosses into the box. And the problem we've got is that the 3 centre-backs aren't the best box defenders in the world, particularly when Yoro plays as well. But also that our wing-backs are not actually very good at defending the back post. So this is why crosses suddenly become a real problem. The other thing that I forgot to mention there was the cutback to the space just in front of the centre-backs. So when you defend in a block, you often sort of slowly retreat deeper and deeper, sometimes without even realising you're doing it. It's almost human instinct to protect your lead, to protect what you've got. So you drop a little bit deeper to protect your goal. What we have seen away from home is teams getting into these sort of positions here, where they can then cut the ball back away from the centre-backs into these sorts of positions, and that's another way that we're conceding goals away. Now, to be honest, this is quite a difficult problem to solve in terms of box defence, in my opinion. Without recruitment, and obviously some coaching as well, I think it's difficult to really improve your box defence because the players you've got are either good there or they're not. Maguire and De Ligt, in theory, are, but I think sometimes playing with a back three overcomplicates things, and we know that Luke Shaw's not a centre-back at the best of times. So you would think, rather than improving our ability to defend the box necessarily, perhaps the route we should take is to stop crosses. The problem is we don't really have the wing-backs for it. You know, Diogo Dalot is, I don't want to be harsh, but he's quite terrible at stopping crosses. He's just not very good at it at all. He doesn't get close enough, which means the opposition often have plenty of time to swing across into the box. Amad, on the other side, is actually a little bit more proactive, probably naturally because he's a forward, so he wants to get towards the ball and he will close down a little bit better. But at the end of the day, he's still not a good 1-versus-1 defender, is he, Amad? Because, again, he's a forward, not a fullback. So he can often be beaten in these situations here, which, again, allows the opposition to swing crosses into the box. The other problem we have, as we said, is the space here and the fact that we invite the opposition onto us. For someone like Mbumo, he is often in a situation where he's sort of caught. The two central midfielders are narrow. So are Mbumo and Cunha meant to tuck right in alongside them, but then we're going to leave gaps, you know, out here for an opposition fullback to cross into the box? Or are they meant to be a little bit wider like this, but then we are leaving that sort of half space open? Now, sometimes our centre-backs can connect, but not always, and this is why suddenly, once again, the opposition might be able to slip a through ball in behind to hurt us, or they might be able to cross. So basically, I think when United are defending deep, this structure is bad, so we need to completely veer away from it. So in my opinion, the problem that we've got is that we are playing a low block away from home often. In an attempt to be secure, we drop into the 5-4-1 to reduce the gaps, but we're not doing that effectively. So we are weakening ourselves in an attacking sense because we're playing deeper, further away from the opposition's goal, but also we are weakening ourselves defensively because we're not good at defending crosses into the box and we're not good at stopping crosses either. So what United need to do, away from home in particular, is take the Old Trafford approach, which is to squeeze a little bit higher, is to be more proactive, is to get on the front foot. And rather than deal with the defensive situation here when it's arguably too late, can we actually deal with it at source? Can we deal with it a little bit higher? Again, at home, United are often in more of a 4-4-2. So Sesko and Mbumo will often be the front line. Then we see Cunha and Amad out wide. We get Casemiro and Bruno Fernandes in midfield. And then it wouldn't be Maguire in a team, it'd be Lenny Yoro. And we switch across into the back four like this. And the benefit of this is when we use this shape, we tend to play higher. We tend to try and get ourselves a few yards up the pitch. And quite simply, the opposition can't cross from here, which makes United better defensively. We're bad at crosses, so just get them far away from our goal. Get them as far away as possible. I think the other thing about this shape is, as the opposition move forward, granted these lot are way too high currently, but you get the picture. In the 4-4-2, I just think the spacing's a little bit nicer. It's a little bit easier to understand for a lot of the defenders. I think it allows us to reduce a lot of the gaps. But also, I think the important thing is it allows us to jump, it allows us to squeeze, and it allows us to get on the front foot. So if I was Ruben Amorim right now, looking at our defensive record both at home and away, and trying to figure out what the big problem is, I would say away from home, we're too passive. We try to be clever. We try to go more defensive to protect ourselves, but I actually think we make ourselves weaker defensively when we do that. So in my opinion, we should do the opposite. We should use our home approach, our Old Trafford approach, play on the front foot, squeeze a little bit higher to, again, stop it at source, defend before it gets to our penalty area. Now, if Manchester United can do those things, you know, go away from home and defend with a more proactive approach, and also improve our ability to defend set pieces, then there is no reason that United can't become a very solid team defensively. Like I said, at Old Trafford this season, we have only conceded once in open play. Every other goal has been a set piece or a set piece second phase. So in open play at Old Trafford, we seem very strong defensively. So in my opinion, what we should be doing is taking that blueprint and applying it away from home. Now, I should just make it clear the home approach isn't perfect either. You know, this is Manchester United we're talking about. We don't tend to do anything perfect, and does perfect even exist in football anyway? I don't really know. But I think the point is, away from home, we're a bit too fearful. We're a bit too cautious. We're worried about what might go wrong, rather than thinking about what could go right if we play on the front foot, play higher, and attack the opposition. So for me, that's the change that we can make to quickly, drastically improve ourselves from a defensive point of view, to reduce the numbers of goals that we are conceding away from home, which should, you would think, lead to United winning more football matches. For example, in the last two, if we just conceded one less, we would have a lot more points right now. So I think that's what United should be doing. But I want to hear your thoughts in the comments. Is this a reasonable solution to United's problem? And what do you think of that home record that we've got at the moment? Because it actually looks pretty good. Apart from that, there is nothing else that I want to talk about. So we're going to wrap the video up there. Thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed this video. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.